Hey guys, GrandNoodleLite here. I want to take a quick moment at the beginning of one of my streams here to quickly record a video about Glimesh. This is a site that I'll be streaming on starting on its launch date on March 2nd. And I wanted to kind of make a video to sort of let both my viewers know why I'm moving over to Glimesh, and also to sort of talk about like the pros and cons of Glimesh. I did a video a while back where I talked about Glimesh while I was streaming, but it wasn't really that good. Like I was focused on like the gameplay I was doing at the time. I didn't have any graphics or whatever. And I just feel like I could have done a better job in general. So hopefully this video is a bit better than that. Hopefully I don't stutter too much. We'll see. But I'll start off by talking about some pros that are more so pros for viewers. And then I'll sort of like transition over to the pros that are mainly for streamers only. So that way, hopefully, if you're just a viewer or if you're just a streamer, hopefully you still get some use out of this video. So let's start off with one of the best pros that you'll get as a viewer on Glimesh is low latency streaming, faster than light. Now, if you were a viewer on Mixer, you probably are familiar with low latency streaming. They actually have just showed it off a few times where you type in chat, and it's basically instant. Like I said, if you are a fan of how Mixer did their faster than light protocol, then I think you're going to like the faster than light streaming technology on Glimesh as well. It's super cool to be able to interact instantly with your chat or with the streamer you're watching, and so I think it's a really cool feature. Moving on, there will not be any ads on Glimesh, at least at launch. Now, let me clarify that real quick. No one's ruling out ads, okay? So, let me explain. Basically, at launch, the way they're going to fund the site is through platform subscriptions, which obviously Glimesh is free to stream and watch, but you can support it by doing one of these, paying for one of these tiers. It's $5 a month or $25 a month. And you get various like cosmetic stuff for that. So this is how they're going to be funding the site along with channel subscriptions as well. They will also be taking a cut of channel subscriptions. I'll talk more about that in a bit. But at launch, there will be no ads, which if you're like me and you stream on Twitch, you know ads are a huge problem because if you don't want ads on your stream, then you basically have to run ad breaks and it's not really intuitive. A lot of times your viewers get annoyed if you run ad breaks or if they see an ad when they first come in. It's very annoying. So I actually take this as a plus, at least for the time being. They've been very public and open about this. If they can't support the site with these subscriptions, then they will probably have to put in some sort of ads. And the pre-roll ads that you see on Twitch, I think it's going to be very unlikely on Glimesh. They agree that pre-roll ads where you see an ad as soon as you click on a stream is very counterintuitive. They agree with us, that it's a terrible practice and it only keeps people off the platforms. I don't think pre-roll ads will really be a thing on Glimesh, but you might see ads in some way, shape, or form after launch if they can't support the platform with platform subscriptions or the cut they take from channel subscription. As for now, I'm going to mark that as a pro because I just hate pre-roll ads on Twitch. So we'll keep that as a pro for now. It may or may not change in the future, but I don't think it'll get as bad as it is on. The second thing I'll talk about is the fact that Glimesh is open source, which means anyone can basically make features for Glimesh. This is the GitHub for Glimesh where you can see all the stuff that's in the site. I'm not going to pretend like I know much about this coding stuff, but basically, from what I understand, it means anyone can make features and submit features. Like, if you want to make a feature for Glimesh that doesn't exist on Glimesh, like maybe you're a huge fan of channel points, for instance, you can make your own channel points plugin or your own channel points feature, submit it to Glimesh, and then if they accept it, then it's just part of the platform, which could mean that features can come to Glimesh a lot faster than your traditional Twitch and YouTube. Again, take channel points for instance. channel points on Twitch for the longest time are only available through bots like Stream Elements or Streamlabs, and there was really no other way you could get channel points. And then Twitch finally recognized that, hey, this is a popular feature. We should probably add it to the site itself, make a little button and all that. And it took months, and maybe even years before Twitch actually got channel points built into the platform itself. So with Glimesh being open source, it could mean that, you don't have to rely on a chatbot for channel points. Like, one of those bot makers, instead of making like a bot, they could just straight up make a button for channel points on Glimesh, submit it, and it could be implemented on Glimesh a lot sooner than it would be on Twitch or YouTube or any other site. The other thing that open source means for Glimesh is, even if Glimesh completely goes under, if Glimesh bombs, everyone hates it, no one streams on it, no one watches on it, you could still have someone else come along, take this open source code from Glimesh and make their own streaming site based off of this code. So even if like Glimesh turns out to be a total disaster, which I don't think it will, but if it does, then the work that they've done on Glimesh will not go to waste. So those are the two benefits that you get from Glimesh being open source. All right, moving on. Glimesh is very open and transparent with all their stats. So the amount of users on their platform, the amount of money they're making, and it's just something you don't get from Twitch or YouTube. So for instance, you can see platform user growth here, which is the amount of users that have signed up for a Glimesh account. You can see how many new users signed up in this time period, and you can see the total amount of users that are on the platform in general. And this one I think is super interesting. Recurring subscriptions. So you can actually see how much money Glimesh is making off of subscriptions on the platform. Now, keep in mind, as of the time I'm making this video, Glimesh has not launched yet. So some of these graphs are a bit weird because a lot of this stuff is like testing and stuff. So for instance, as of right now, no one can stream on Glimesh, so there's no channel subscriptions. So this graph will probably skyrocket as soon as it launches, but it's super cool. Like, you can even see like the dollar values here. Like, you can see that at this point in time, they were making like about $630 off subscriptions, which is super cool. Like, you can actually see like their finances and stuff like that. You can see the total amount of streams on Glimesh. Again, it's not actually publicly possible to stream on Glimesh as of this video, or as of the recording of this video. It'll probably be available when you see this video, but all the stuff on this graph is basically like stress tests and test streams and stuff, so that's why it's all over the place here. It'll be super interesting to come back and see what this is like afterwards, but they have like all these stats here that you can check out, which will make more sense when the platform's launched. And they also have weekly meetings where they go much more in depth about how many people are on the platform, like all these different stats, like for their subreddits, their Twitter followers, all of these other stats. They're just super open and transparent with. And it's just stuff that you won't really get from another platform like Twitch or YouTube. Good luck getting Twitch to disclose how much money they're making off subscriptions. That's for sure. They also have time after the weekly meetings to answer questions. So if there's something I don't cover in this video, you can feel free to join their Discord, join one of the community meetings yourself, and ask a question just straight up. I myself have taken advantage of that, asked many questions, and gotten plenty of answers straight from the people working on the site. So they're super open, super transparent, and it's really cool. It's a really cool thing that you don't get on other sites. The next thing I'm going to talk about is channel subscriptions and payouts. So basically, who qualifies for subscriptions on Glimesh? Basically everyone. So there's no viewer requirements, there's no average viewer requirement, there's no follower requirement, there's no requirements whatever to have a subscription button on Glimesh. I think you might have to be over 18. But Other than that, there's no like stats that you need to get on Glimesh in order to qualify for subscriptions on your channel. Unfortunately, there are some more restrictions in terms of like what countries qualify for payouts and subscriptions. So if you live in one of these countries, you're all set to go. You can sign up for a subscription button and start making money off Glimesh. One other thing I'll note is that since they're doing this all their payouts through a company called Stripe, it really means that if Stripe doesn't support the country, then it's probably going to take a while for them to be able to support a country that's not on this list. So right now they're sticking to how many countries are on this list because that's how Stripe does it. So if your country is not on this list, and if you want to make money from subscriptions on Glimesh, you might have to wait a bit longer in order to start getting that subscription money. It does not support PayPal at this time, but if you have a bank account or a debit card, you can get paid that way. So again, support for PayPal and other countries is coming. It just might take a little bit. The only other thing I'll say about countries is that it's super easy to sign up for subscriptions if you live in the United States like me. However, if you're in one of the other countries, then there will be a tax form that you need to fill out and send to Glimesh. I am not really sure about what that tax form entails because I didn't have to fill it out because I'm an American citizen. Just know that it might be a little more complicated to set up payments if you live outside of the United States. If you live in like Canada or something, then you can still get subscriptions on Glimesh. It's just a matter of like filling out an extra tax form. In terms of the payout here, you can see they're very transparent about like who gets what and what amount of a sub goes to like server bandwidth and chargeback protection and stuff like that. So you can see it's a 50-50 split, but Glimesh actually only makes like 67 cents off of like each $5 subscription. So again, I think this whole like graph here that I took from their Twitter account also goes back to like what I was saying about them being super open and transparent with their finances and basically every aspect of the platform. If you want to take a look at this, there it is. Yeah, I'm not sure what else there is to say about this because even though it's a 50-50 split, you're not supporting like a giant corporation, right? You know, you're not just giving like money to like Google or Amazon. You're supporting like a small business. You know? So I think it's much more justifiable to have something like a 50-50 split. Or even if they decide to put ads, I think it's more justified to have ads on Glimesh because it's supporting like a small business. It's like a small site. It's not like a super mega corporation like Twitch and Amazon or YouTube and Google, you know? So that's all the pros I could think of for Glimesh. I'm sure I'm missing plenty more. But I want to take a second to talk about two cons that I think exist for Glimesh. So the first one is something that I've been really vocal about in the Glimesh community, and that is a lack of game title categories. So we can't see it now because, again, it's a couple days before the site launches. But you know how when you go to Twitch and go to the gaming section, you can see all these different like game titles, and then when you click on a game, it shows you like all the streams that are being streamed for that game. Well, that's not going to be a thing on Glimesh. Now, they will have a tag system, so you will be able to enter in like, I don't know, if you want to see a Fortnite stream, for example, just the first game that came to mind, you can still type in hashtag Fortnite or whatever, and it'll still show you like all the streams that have the phrase hashtag Fortnite in their tags, right? So you can still filter by game, but it's not going to be as simple as it is on Twitch or even YouTube if you know where to look, where you can see like one category and then you can see all the streams for that category straight up. Again, it is open source, so if you're watching this video, you know a bit of code, and you want streaming game title categories, then you can go ahead and create like a thing on Glimesh and make it yourself, basically. I certainly would do it if I knew how to code, but sadly I don't. So again, some features like this are going to be missing from Glimesh, but due to the fact that it's open source, they could take a while to implement, or they could be implemented next week. Who knows? It depends on like if talented coders, are able to make this stuff and how fast they're able to make it, right? So just because there's no game streaming categories now doesn't mean there won't be any game streaming title categories in like a couple months, right? So just keep that in mind. And there will be a tag system too, so it's not like you won't be able to find like a specific game if you really want to. The other con that I want to talk about briefly is that Glimesh isn't going to have its own set audience, right? Like, people know about Twitch. If you want to see like live content, your best bet is to go to Twitch. People know that if you want to see like someone, I don't know, speedrun Mario 64 live, probably go check out Twitch. There'll probably be something on there. You might be able to find something on YouTube, but I bet the first thing people think of when they think of live content is going to be Twitch. So Glimesh isn't going to have that advantage, right? Glimesh isn't going to start off with like a huge audience that you're going to be able to gobble up, right? A lot of the initial audience for Glimesh is going to be people who stream themselves, or viewers of like their favorite streamer who moved over to Glimesh, right? So I don't think there's going to be that many people on Glimesh who are just there to watch content, at least at launch. Sure, there'll be people checking it out, but it's not going to be as much as, say, Twitch or YouTube. Twitch has that reputation for being the go-to place for live content. YouTube has all its videos that it can recommend live streams on, and Glimesh sort of doesn't have that, That's just going to be an uphill battle that Glimesh is going to have to overcome. Initially, I think your audience is going to be people that you bring over to Glimesh yourself. Like, if you are already on Twitch or YouTube, I think a good chunk of your audience is either going to be people who are checking out Glimesh for the first time, maybe want to ask some questions about like what the site's all about, and then your viewers that love your content and they want to follow you over to Glimesh. So if you're not a huge channel, that might be a bit of a hurdle for you, but that's just sort of the nature of the site. I think it's going to be the biggest challenge that Glimesh has to overcome. But I mean, then again, if you, on the opposite side, if you're one of the first people to stream on Glimesh and then Glimesh takes off, you could be like one of the most popular people on Glimesh, because imagine like the first people that started streaming on Twitch, right? There weren't that many people streaming on Twitch in the early days. And then as Twitch grew, those streams grew along with it. So that could be the flip side to that. What's actually going to happen, though? I don't know. I'm not Nostradamus or whatever. But that is going to be a challenge for Glimesh going forward. The other thing I want to talk about here is what to expect. Again, they're very open about what features will and will not be there at launch. Just don't expect going into Glimesh to be basically the same as Twitch, right? Glimesh is basically just a bunch of like volunteers that got together to create a streaming site. It's not going to be as good as like a site like Twitch, which is backed by like Amazon and has had years and years and years of experience, right? So, like they say on their website here, expect bugs, glitches, downtime. It's not going to be perfect. That's just how it's going to be for like a new platform in general. So if you're not willing to deal with some glitches and bugs, then I don't know. You might want to wait a bit before trying out Glimesh. But the fact is, it's not going to be as feature rich as Twitch on launch, and it's not going to be as issue free as Twitch is. It can certainly get there over time, and it might even end up having more features than Twitch due to its open source nature. But just know at launch, set your expectations straight. I want to also show this little roadmap here that they were showing off quite a bit before launch here. Basically, this first category here is the stuff that they wanted to have for the alpha launch, which should be out by the time you guys see this video. But there's also going to be phase 2 and phase 3 with stuff coming later. So I wanted to show you guys this because this sort of gives you a decent view of what features will and won't be available when the site launches in a few days on March 2nd, 2021. Some of the stuff in phase 2 is available. For instance, I know pop-out chat is available, so even though it's in phase 2, that doesn't mean it won't be available sooner. And just because something is in the phase 1 area, that doesn't mean it's fully flushed out, you know? They can still have a lot more work to do with moderation, but you know, they still have the ability to ban and time people out. But that doesn't mean they're done working on moderation at all, you know? There'll be more stuff going forward, and it could end up being a lot better than it is right now. So it goes both ways, you know. Just because something's further off here doesn't mean that it can't be done earlier, especially with the open source nature. That throws a big twist into all this, you know. Someone could go out and make a whole group streaming thing for Glimesh, and then if it's approved, then you can see this whole group streaming feature be done a lot sooner than phase 3. On the flip side, though, it's like I was saying, you know, they have moderation available now, but that doesn't mean that they won't add more in the future. The other thing is that this isn't all the features they're working on. You know, for example, there's this other roadmap. This is all the stuff they wanted to do in phase 1 for launch in a couple days. So this category here versus this whole graph. So just because it doesn't mention something in here doesn't mean it's not something they won't add in phase 2 or phase 3. So again, this is what a good indication of what you should see at launch. This is actually a bit outdated because in the latest stream, they community stream, they actually had all this stuff marked as done. But all of the features on this page is stuff that you can expect for the Glimesh Alpha launch on, again, March 2nd, 2021. That's all I wanted to really talk about for Glimesh for today. If I forgot something, a pro or a con that you can think of, let me know in the comments below so that you can share it with everyone else who comes across this video. And yeah, I'll have the link to my Glimesh stream in the description below if you want to check that out. And if you found this video helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Hopefully this was helpful to some of you out there who may not know that much about Glimesh, or you know, the pros and cons regarding the platform. So hopefully this helped you in some way, shape, or form. But that's it for today, guys. So thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.